Well, here in France, the Prime Minister, Elisabeth Borne, is marking her first year in office with a sit-down with unions. This, of course, comes after a very rocky year for her, filled with protests over pension reform that the government pushed through, raising the retirement age in France from 62 to 64. For more on this anniversary, I'm joined on the set by our French politics editor, Marc Perelman. Marc, talk us through what's going to be happening today for Elisabeth Borne.
Well, she is going to be meeting with the unions, and one could say it's some sort of achievement for her, both to still be the prime minister, because many thought she wouldn't make it to the one-year anniversary, and also to sit down with the unions and not only to talk about the reform that was just passed in a very controversial way, but maybe other issues like wages, work conditions, and so on and so forth, because the unions will repeat their very strong opposition to pushing the retirement age from 62 to 64. But they also say, okay, but after this, we also need to talk about something else. And this something else is what Elisabeth Borne, the government, and of course President Emmanuel Macron are hanging on, because they really want to talk about other issues, because this has been really a very rocky period, especially personally for the Prime Minister, because she had to use the Article 49.3 of the Constitution, which is known as the nuclear option in Parliament, whereby you essentially push through a bill without a vote in exchange, quote unquote, for a vote of no confidence. She barely survived this vote of no confidence. And so this is why you had a lot of speculation that her days were counted. The president has given her some support. He has said he would take stock of what she has achieved on Bastille Day on July the 14th. So she has really her work cut out for her, even after this tough year.
Right. So she is still there, but many are still saying her time's running out.
Right. Obviously, many wondered why the president was saying so little about her. That was until yesterday night. The French president granted an interview on primetime television, where he said a few things about Elisabeth Borne, which is unusual because he essentially hasn't said much. And he said that she was very courageous, she was determined, and she showed strength, and that he was, quote unquote, very proud to have appointed her. So he said that she was able to push through a lot of very difficult reforms, not only the reform of the pension system, essentially reviving nuclear energy, reforming the unemployment benefit system, and so on. So he gave her, if not an A, at least a grade that's good enough for her to proceed. However, he did not say whether he will keep her in Matignon, as the office of the Prime Minister is known. So there's still a lot of unknown. There's still a lot of talk that there could be a major reshuffle, because we know Emmanuel Macron might not be totally satisfied with Elisabeth Borne, but we know he's very dissatisfied with some of her ministers. So let's wait until Bastille Day. There's a traditional presidential interview. Let's see what happens for Elisabeth Borne. Until then, hopefully, by that time, the page of the reform system will have been definitely turned. This is what she's hoping for, because this is still a big problem for the government. The polls are showing that the French are vastly opposed to it. She is hoping that as the summer is around the corner, people will think about vacations rather than pensions.
They certainly do think about that in France. Thank you for that, Marc. France 24's Marc Perelman.